All right, that's fine. We'll see you later. And we're live. Sophia's in the office, but she can't get her headphones and such to work. Got it? She got it. Let's see if there's an echo. We'll bring her in.
Hello,
welcome. Oh, nope, no, you're out of here. You hear her. Heather's in here.
Got your semifinal shirt on.
Yeah, dude. Alternate, baby. Alternate team athlete. Let's go. All right, Tyler.
What's up, Tyler?
Sophia, you're going to have to go outside. See ya. Yeah, you tried. We got one watcher, guys. All right, welcome to the show today. Hydrate and Build 25-8. Scan the QR code and buy your hydration and 2.5 creatine. It's very good for you. Look at this. Look at Sophia going through the hallway. Boo, look at those jerseys. Oh, my God. So sick. Such a sick hallway. You just walk up and down the hallway the whole time. All right. Semifinals. CrossFit semifinals shirt. Here we go. Alternate. Your boy for the team. Crushed it. Just missed Master semifinals by the skin of my teeth.
Well, you weren't sick. You probably would have made it.
I know that's kind of shitty. Let's not talk about that. I should have just redid that fucking workout. It's fine. All right. Look at this. Cody says, I'm up 12.5 grams of creatine a day because of 25-8. Another happy customer. It is. It's good flavor. But I will say this.
What will you say?
Thank you, Heather. Element just dropped their lemonade flavor. And I'm going to say it, dude. 25-8. Oh, you guys.
Wait, have you tried it?
Yeah, I tried it. They sent it to all the affiliates ahead of time.
Oh.
They're always really good to us, the Element stuff. But the lemonade is lit, dude. So there you go.
I didn't know they were
options. You can't, we can't be closed-minded to everything. I know 25.
I mean, but it doesn't have creatine in it. So
that is true. That is true. It separates their brand.
It might push 25-8 over the edge,
For sure, because their strawberry lemonade is delicious, but the lemonade element that'll be coming out is good. Yeah, where's Harley? Where is Harley? That's a good question. Maybe he's in the background. Nope, he's not here yet. Let's see. Unfortunately, for 25-8, Element is my first love. True. Cody does like the cans. He likes the can. I like the cans too. But hey, look, you got to give them time. Funny thing, I talked about this last time. I found this out though about the BPN Endo Pump. That was their first supplement, and how they discontinued it now is their first supplement in their line.
Why did they discontinue it?
Because they're focusing on endurance sport and endurance nutrition, whereas the Endo Pump was created and designed for bodybuilders. Although I use it for CrossFit, which is a endurance sport. Hard to believe. And I really enjoyed it. But hey, we're going to try their pre-workout. But I think 25-8 could definitely build a nice pre-workout. I also changed this banner down here so then Tyler could pop up. We'll see him. Nice. Is Heather like smaller? What happens if we do that? And she disappears. We'll put her back. All right. All right, guys. Semifinals are over. We had 2 individuals finish semifinals. We had 1 individual. We had 3 to begin with, and we lost 1 in the middle of the shuttle runs, and she went down. Things happen. Sports is sports. Unfortunate. We're going to get, she got a diagnosis today, and we'll see where we go from there. But happens. Either way, we had a really good time, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Before I talk, Heather, any thoughts? I mean, Tyler, you can also add to this too, because you were here for the Master semifinals. So you get any broad thoughts about semifinals in general. You've seen the things online. How do you guys feel about it? Being in the affiliate, how do you feel about it?
Well, in general, I thought that it went pretty well. The workouts for the indies were definitely very, very hard. Just watching them go through to do that. And I think, I talked to some of them afterwards, and I think sometimes they were just disappointed in some of the performances or the way things that went. And I just think that the fact that they've earned the right to be able to do those workouts and can do those workouts says a lot. And I think that they just bringing that to perspective, and I think a lot of times people are just like, oh, I could do that. Or, the thing that you get really mad about when people just like, oh, I'm going to scale it and do some version of this workout. And it's like, no, right? It's like just being able to do that because you've earned the right to do that. But in general, I thought it went pretty well. I mean, I think we've already kind of touched upon all the judging and the online stuff. I feel like that was something that needs to be improved. But as far as like the workouts went and the workout flow and the way that they described floor plans and stuff like that, I thought was pretty well. Like they put all that out pretty good.
Cool. We also had an athlete not on site, Harley's athlete, Celine, do the workouts. Gonna give her a shout out as well.
For Indy.
Yeah. These are all individual semifinal athletes. Congratulations to them. Something that they have been trying to do for a long time. I always tell people, I think people like, because it was 1,200 people or the 1%, I think people like try to diminish that effort. But when you look at it, like regionals, when you look at the total number of men and women, when they were doing, at one point they did 40 per region. And at one point there was 11 regions. So 11 times 40 men times 40 women, you're at 440 people, and the total number that signed up from the 1,200, like we have to cast a bigger net. And so obviously those numbers will increase. And then, I would have loved for the 1,200 people, all of them to sign up and then see where everybody falls in the harder workouts to give you a better depiction of like where your fitness really is at against the people that did those open workouts. Because as there's more tests that are more complex and they filter each stage.
Well, why do you think that there was a lot of people in that indie division that didn't sign up? Do you think that's because they saw the workouts and they were just like
a combination of a lot of things? Tyler, what do you think before I talk?
Why they didn't sign up?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think ultimately it would come down to either the workouts or they were like, I know that I'm not going to go any further than this, and I don't want to put myself either financially or physically through that rigmarole, if you will. Because then you got to find the judges, the time, like you've got to do it in between classes because you have to do it in an affiliate. I think it's just a lot of moving parts that a lot of people that they were like, I'm not going any further than this, so I don't want to really have to deal with it. But I do think that
what would you say is the percent of people that fall into that category out of the 1,200? Let's just call it 1,000, so that makes it easy percents. Because I feel like that's like 20% of people, honestly.
Yeah, I would say I would say it's a bigger number.
Like I think there's like 20% of people that fall in that group. I think there's like 10% of people that are masters who might have already done semifinals. Maybe another 5-ish% that do team that fall into that top 1% as well. But then you're left with 30. So there should be like 700 people signing up, not 200 that there was, 230.
Yeah. Weren't you saying something like when the workouts came out, something to the effect of like,
let's see what Cody has to say.
Oh.
Because they're scared. I don't know a lot of fit dudes that would have been top 100 and they are embarrassed by that they didn't want to put themselves out there. Yeah, that's true.
Like, even though it's like, we kind of talked about this, like even though they like earned the right to do these workouts because they qualified for semifinals, it's like looking at these workouts, it's like, should all 1,200 of them even be doing this workout? Like,
no, but what I'm saying is like, I want to say, avoid of all that. Okay. What I said about the 1,200 doing it, I want to see the level of fitness. I mean, that's why I like the open too, of being wide and open and inclusive and making the workouts more CrossFit.com or historical training, the way CrossFit is quote unquote meant to be, the way it was designed, the perfect, eloquent, what did you say? The eloquent solution to the world's most vexing problem. Yeah. So like classic CrossFit, which is what you got across the board, and scaled up classic CrossFit is what you got in the all semifinal workouts. I would argue teams, individuals, and masters. You could scroll through thousands of workouts put out by .com and find variations of those workouts and those tests on .com. There's nothing weird, nothing outside the box of the methodology, the training program, and the testing body. which I love. So for metrics, I would want to see everybody sign up, because the other thing that's cool now is we got all these people's videos also. Now, I mean, not the teams, and I'm okay with that. But the individuals is really cool to see, because now it's like, oh, you want to know how fast Daniel Brandon does XYZ? You want to know how fast Jeffrey Adler does blah, 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 and how he moves. And just that execution. You get another opportunity, especially like in gym scenario, whereas you normally only see those people work out on a competition floor.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It's like, I wonder if it was still the regionals format, and for somehow they were able to get all 1,200 people in a regionals, if more people would have signed up, because a lot of people looked at it as like, well, I'm just still working out in my own gym, as opposed to I get to go to somewhere and throw down with other people.
Yeah, there's that too. All right, so maybe the percentage makes, I mean, I would have liked more people, but I think maybe the percentage of people makes a lot of sense, I guess. Harley, we're asking why you think there was lower participation in the online semifinals.
I think that you guys pretty much said it all.
All right, cool.
Great. For the most part, I think that I agree that most people saw the workouts, saw 1 to 3 things that they were uncertain they were able to do to that volume or demand, and they were just like, no, I'm not gonna spend the money to do it or put myself out there into a vulnerable position. And that is what it is. Whether I agree with that or not is my opinion, but that is probably the safe bet.
Tell me where you stand on that.
I think unless you qualified for an in-person event of a similar level and you didn't have family life, work conflict, some rational, explanation or conflict that, kept you from doing this, I think that you should have put yourself out there and just tried.
Yeah.
Just tried. I mean, Celine.
Not realizing, hold on, I'll read Cody's comment. Also not realizing that the big comps are going to use that semifinal leaderboard and can open more doors. It would be an investment to do that, which is true. They may use your ranking, your overall ranking. You have more of a resume to say, hey, I finished. And like, regardless of the number of people that signed up, it could have been 200 people signed up and you could get 100. Someone might dog on you about that, but it doesn't matter. You got 100th place in the worldwide semifinals. So like that test group of people that decided to put their hat in the ring allows, your opportunity to say, hey, look, this is what I got. I want to come to this thing. So Cody's exactly right. Like, I think there's a huge benefit there. Hypothetically, if you got somebody who's training 90 minutes or more a day, and they're saying that they want to be a competitive athlete, regardless of like the workouts themselves and everything else and limitations, I think they should have signed up and tried, just like Harley saying. Now, if you're going to class, because I know there are some people who are like genetically inclined, maybe they were D1 athlete and they just go to class and like they're a superstar, and there's a lot of those crazy human freaks out there in the world that would qualify for this thing, then like, yeah, whatever, you don't need to do it. You only go for an hour. But like, if you're coming in doing extra stuff, no reason why you should not have signed up.
If it was genuinely unsafe for you to do certain things,
just don't do that workout.
Don't do that workout. Don't do it. But like, if you're out there, you're, just as you said, telling people you want to compete in CrossFit, you're going to local events, you're trying to do other things, and you happen to get this opportunity, like, you should take that opportunity for, the reason that Cody laid out there. Like, yeah, it builds a resume, it builds a track record, it gives you a ranking, a worldwide ranking for, tracking your performance over the years. And I think that in itself is important. And then on top of that, like, if you want to see what it's like to be at the next level, because you're claiming you want to be at the next level, you have to put yourself out there to see truly how big of a gap is it between where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
yeah, for sure. Like we had the 3 people, and like Heather and I were talking about this when I came in on Monday. I was like, man, how are we going to get them to bridge that gap? Right. Because like Mo, for example, did a phenomenal job. Didn't even want to sign up for the Open because she's been having irritation in her back and working on it, everything else. Picked up yoga. First, she's been to 1 class. She's going to go to her next class today. So props to her for investing in her mobility and movement. But also, like, she absolutely smashed it, made it into semifinals. then did a great job in semifinals. And like you can learn a ton. And like we were talking about Alexis Kendricks because we know her and Heather's really good friends with her. And it's like, how do you go from 109 to 50th? And we're like looking at the spread and the gap there. And it's not a big gap, but it's enough that you're like, damn, that level of intensity that you have to like try and start achieving in your training goes beyond. Cause I would argue, like I watched all of Celine's videos, Harley, and it's like, damn, she executed perfectly. Her movement quality is phenomenal. Like everything went to plan. She looks so composed. And I know the work you guys have done to build her up to that. And same thing with like our ladies on site. And I'm like, okay, like it's like red line, blah, 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 blah. You're doing so good. Now, how do we go a little more, right? How are we going to strap another turbo onto this fucking motor that's already peaked and maxed out? And you can, you can see it online. They can do it. It's just like, oh, how do we get there? But you wouldn't know that without putting your hat in the ring. And whatever ranking they got, I think Celine was at 150 something. Phenomenal job. And like you might look at them and be like, well, it's fucking da, 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 and whatever.
I think it was pretty fucking cool because she did that without submitting a snatch.
Right. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Crazy.
But yeah, so like we're looking at that and it's like, okay, cool. Like all those things have, especially her, like Celine, I know has like, because I've talked to her a few times, and correct me if I'm like overstepping, but I feel like she wants to be a fucking big dog. And I think she's stepped into that level of being a big dog. And now it's like, okay, you can do it.
That's been the narrative in our interactions a lot in the last year, is just believing that you are an elite athlete. Because she's like, oh, I'm not elite, I'm just RX. Or like, I can't qualify for this because I'm not good enough. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Like all your performance on these online events are saying otherwise. You know, like how are you taking 12th in the Desert City qualifier last year, but you're not elite? You know, like sure, sets of tests, like you get a good deal of the cards, but you have a huge base of fitness that is supporting that, right? So I don't know, it's like we've circled back this and it's sort of just been building and building year after year, but it's like, yeah, like you clearly have a huge capacity in 85 to 90% of CrossFit, and the one thing you can't do competitively is lift the heaviest weights repeatedly. And it's like, and even then we've been building up towards that. And this year, what?
Even then, you don't really need it.
Apparently, you don't need it. But what I was going to get at was, and I think this is a valuable lesson to be acknowledged, is that year after year, ever since we did that power snatch, burpee, box jump over workout in the garage in 2021 at your house, that year she couldn't hit a 125 snatch. That was her. At the time, I think her best snatch was 120. Okay. Now her best snatch is 150. Okay, still can't hit the 155 that's asked of her in competition. So every year there's been a barbell that she couldn't hit, which is kind of sucks. You could look at that as a loss, but it's like we bridged the gap from a 120 snatch to a 150 snatch. Like we built that up so aggressively, and we built up her fitness to support all the other ends of CrossFit so well that she's earned the right to get to the next stage, whatever, you know, obviously the structure of the season's changed. We can acknowledge that, but I would argue she has gotten to a higher level as an athlete, but what's asked of you at the higher levels as an athlete is heavier weights sometimes. And unfortunately for her storyline is that now she missed that snatch. She tried it a few times, but she just didn't get it. And it's like, okay, you tried your best.
Kudos to her. I was gonna say kudos to her though, because it's like talking about all these people who potentially didn't sign up because they're nervous about something or whatever. It's like, you know, she knew she was potentially going to take a 0 on that, and she still signed up, showed up, which is
and tried. And she took 4 attempts at it, and none of them felt sketchy. So she tried, you know, 1 extra. I told her 3 strikes, you're out. She tried a 4th, and it's like, all right, just wasn't quite there, you know, like, and so she just took the L, moved on, and brought enough effort that she still got in my opinion, a really solid placement for herself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to harp on it because I think they could have deleted that workout in general. And I'll go through some examples. I'll have Sophia pull up the leaderboard. But the like Meg, one rep max is 155, and she hit 8 of them. And a week prior, she hit 4 of them. And we built up because I knew it was coming, and we built the confidence, and then she hit 8. And like that's all good for her, you know. But in reality, like I'm looking at the scores, and Heather and I were looking at some of the scores, and it's like, all right, cool. You could, and it's inspiring, like Jay said, like that's super inspiring, you know. And we could look at that, and we could harp on the weightlifting, and you do still want to focus on weightlifting, like you have been doing. You don't want to like throw that out. We want to make sure that your weakness gets attacked, especially if you're going to continue in this thing. But ultimately, like looking at their metabolic conditioning performances is where you can see a lot of change. So if you pull up the leaderboard and you go to, I think it's like 84th place is Grace Lochner. This is a girl that as I use for like an avatar with our athletes a little bit, only because of the fact that she competed with them at Crash a couple years ago. Is it 80? Come on, Sophia. Find her. She's somewhere in the 80s. There she is. All right. So 14 snatches, correct? 14? I'll make it bigger here. Sorry, 15 snatches. 15 snatches. You know, and this is a girl that they competed against at Crash, and this girl got last place. Dom coaches her now. At one point, she was coached by Dex Hopkins, Brute Strength Training. And, you know, she spent a lot of time putting in and growing. And I think some of that from Crash kind of stung. But, like, I don't think the girls even realized, you know, that they were there with this girl who improved, you know, the characteristics that she needed to improve. But then, yeah, if you go to Celine, she's 156, right, Harley? Literally takes a 0. Well, actually, go to the top and just sort. Don't go to Celine. It's fine. We can just sort by workout. If you go to the very, very top of the thing, it doesn't matter what page, and you click on the workout, the last workout number 5, which was the rope climb toes to bar. So 655 reps, and then just kind of scroll down and through. This was the highest value workout because look, 558. So 13th place. Go to 13th place or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I guess you could be right there. It's fine. You're going slow, Sophia. I need you to work a little faster. 559, and then go up to the very top again. 655. You know, you're close to 100 rep difference there. Scroll down to like 200 place or whatever. Go down and then click on page 3. And we'll look at the reps. 527. So 527 reps, 559. You're really not that far off. Like you get tons of reward in a 30-minute AMRAP of meters of rowing, 1,000 meters, 30 toes to bar, 6 rope climbs. Then go to workout 2.
Would you argue that that's because there's less separation value rowing for meters across a long time domain?
No, it's just the workout in general.
And also acknowledging rope climbs take so much time per repetition, so that there's not a lot of point, like unit of measurement differential per rep, like per unit of time.
No, what I would argue is that everyone's fitness level is so condensed. They're all the same person.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it's like everyone within this top, let's just say 200. I don't know exactly what the number is, but they all can do the work at the requisite rate of travel.
Correct. And the ones getting a little bit higher, either we'd have to watch their videos, and you can, that's the beauty of the videos now. As a coach, we can watch the videos and an athlete and see, are they rowing faster? Are they doing, well, I already know the answer. They're doing toes to bar better than other people. That's really the answer there, because the rope climb rate of travel is pretty similar across people. Like you were alluding
like one
to
every 25 seconds at,
a little faster than that, but yeah. So the toe to bar
I was saying like in the last round, I was assuming like once the grip starts to go and stuff.
Yeah. So the toe to bar, I've watched a lot of the videos, right? So the toe to bar are very similar. The toe to bar, the separator, the rope climbs are very similar. And then the rowing itself is about 5 seconds faster per 500. So every round, let's say they do 4 rounds, you're almost getting a minute back in that rowing pace. But it's still really not that much time, right? Because like you got 10 seconds, because most people get 3 plus the row, almost 4 rounds. So they're getting 10, 20, 30, 40 seconds back, which if your toe to bar are hanging together and you're doing, let's say 12, 10, 8 toes to bar every time.
Yeah, that's almost 22 toes to bar, probably 20 toes to bar.
Right. And that's the difference maker when you watch these videos. That's not like a hypothetical. That's comb through to see what the difference is for our people building. Like, so it's like, okay, we need to increase their row pace just a slight bit, build more aerobic capacity, but not too much. Shouldn't be the focus. Rope climbs are pretty good. Could be better, obviously, like what Harley's saying. But the toe to bar needs a big fucking overhaul, right? And the value is that I got to look at all these videos. Like anyone can do that. And then same thing with workout 2. Workout 2 and workout 5 give you the highest like value of like getting up higher on the leaderboard if you do well in these workouts, if that makes sense. Because there's these big chunks of jumps. So like 926 for first place, and then scroll down to 50th place. Sophia, just scroll all the way to the bottom. 12:59, 3 minutes. So like
it's the people who could literally just do the thing well, and the people
Correct.
who couldn't. Like
Correct.
that was just the requisite overhead endurance and lunging endurance, because the GHD arguably was negligible.
Right. So like that pickup on a workout like that is huge. You know what I mean? And like you don't know that until the dust settles, but it's like a good indicator when we take a step back and we look at like what's necessary for an athlete to train generally, especially on the women's field. And we can do this for the guys field. It's pretty similar. The problem with the guys is they're so effing strong that it kind of skews it. Where I would argue like you get the guys strong in that strength category and it's like, okay, aerobic capacity, aerobic endurance in a mixed modal setting, almost high rocks for most of these guys. And you would end up crushing people.
A glimpse into your future, Jace.
Because like if you can, like you look at Jeffrey Adler's 3 minutes, 225 snatches. That fucking guy does not ever need to do barbell realistically at this point, relative to the field. If he wants to just straight smash and dominate, he's going to do what Matt Fraser did. And Matt Fraser talks about this openly. And I hope Nate is listening. He was like, wow, I need to improve my aerobic endurance to that of an athlete similar that would be doing a triathlon or a long marathon. And that's what separated Matt Fraser over time. And then worked on speed mechanics of running.
And think about like Jeff Adler as an archetype, because I think Guy better watch out. Shut up.
Yes, watch out. Guy is washed. He's washed out. That's what he is.
Oh no.
That was good. That was a good.
That was so good. All right. So 2020 CrossFit Games, Jeff Adler is trying to like beat Matt in like, I think it was a snatch speed ladder, right? And he's like, oh, someone's got to beat him. And Jeff's like talking trash about Matt, or about trying to race Matt. And Jeff's, going toe to toe with Matt, who's an ex weightlifter. And Jeff is known for being a really strong athlete at that time, like strength wise, power athlete.
Yep.
And now he's running a sub 5 minute mile. Like, you think about the area that he spent the majority of his time probably training in the last 3 to 4 years before he won. And it's like, yeah, he became one of the best runners.
Yeah, you also experienced a little bit of this, but there's also literature now and research and science on it that if you're strong enough and you get aerobic, you actually get stronger. There's a strength adaptation from building your type 1 muscle fibers.
Yeah.
It's I don't want, science has never proven, quote unquote, but they've tried to replicate this multiple times and get a different outcome to disprove the fact that if you increase your type 1 fibers when you're already a strong athlete, key term, you have to already be a strong athlete, you get stronger. And they've found it over and over again to the point where like it's almost fact that if you become strong enough for whatever the thing that you're trying to do is, you could build strength by becoming more aerobic without even building more strength.
Well, it's your ability to handle work capacity.
Right. You recover faster. You can, so your expression of strength becomes more dominant because you don't have any limitation, nothing holding you back. Even in powerlifters, they found, and strongman, because they recover between sets and reps faster because they're more aerobic, they can continue to produce effort, which then allows them to do more sets and reps at a higher load. Hey, go back to the leaderboard, Sophia. Real quick.
And to your video that you shared within the Slack is, volume's king. So if you can increase your ability to recover, do more volume of a given skill, like your video is talking about building the requisite volume. But if someone already has the requisite volume, you can build your tolerance to recover and repeat, middle range sets to get to that volume in less sets, then you're just a better CrossFitter. Like
Yeah.
you're better at doing work.
You would be better at not just
Yeah,
CrossFit.
correct. But I'm picturing just the skills of the sport, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Sure. I mean, you would. Yeah, I don't want to go down rabbit hole, but you'd be a better
Go ahead.
pickleballer. Also, if you got more aerobic.
nope. CrossFit doesn't build athletes. They've already said that.
Okay, you have the skill, like you said, the skill of pickleball. Anyways, I want to give a shout out before we move on. Jay Crouch, man, Jay motherfucking Crouch, dude, second place, bro. Everybody
Dude.
talks about Dallin and James and Jason and all that shit. I think, and I've liked Jay Crouch for a while, but I feel like I'm a big Jay Crouch fan. I would not mind if he brought it to these boys and won the CrossFit Games. I just want to
I don't want to say there's a huge gap between him and Jeff, but
listen.
12 points to 26 points in that large of a field's pretty. Jeff's still pretty dominant, dude. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think Adler's out for blood because he stepped away from the CrossFit Games last year, and I think he wants to prove it because I think there is still a little bit of that question mark when Roman hurt his foot.
Oh yeah.
But hey, Jay Crouch, dude.
I think Jeff's looking good, man.
And I like Jay Crouch's attitude. I'm really happy with like the content that Proven's putting out about their people and showing their personas. And I can get down with it. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't follow a lot about the Proven like media, but I think that Jeff does such little media, to at least to my understanding. Is that right? Like he doesn't do a ton, right?
No, not a whole lot.
And like I appreciate that. Like he's just like in his like little cave, just living.
Well, yeah, I like his thing when he said, yeah, he said that Hiller Reed put it, and Marissa's putting it up here, but it was at the Atlas Games when he said, "I wanted to win, I won." Everyone's got sayings from him though. See, he's got little media, but he's like, "I go into the jacuzzi."
Dude,
so even though he's got little amounts of media, he definitely.
I know, but I love it because it's like the media that he has is valued and lasting, and
That's
people
true.
hold on to it because he doesn't give like an overhaul. Like it's not like you're drinking from a fire hose, you know.
That's true. That's true. Maybe that's why I like Jay Crouch also, because even though he's on the Proven stuff, he's not very like. I can get down with it, but
you don't need sponsors if you keep winning. Correct.
Yeah. Well, he does have a sponsor.
I'm sure he does.
He's got tier. He's a rogue athlete. Like he has the best sponsors currently in the space. Like name a better like shoe sponsor. Don't say Go Ruck. All right. Anyways, hardest workout of the 5.
The burpee clean and jerk one would be my guess.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Classic CrossFit. I was telling Heather, we were talking about this. Like, I think there's a level too that a lot of our athletes, we're going to try and instill this. You can take down the leaderboard, Sophia. We're going to try and instill this in them. Old school fire breather mentality, baby. Bringing it back. I don't like it, but I think it has a tool or it's a useful tool.
It has utility.
Yeah, there we go. Just fucking kill yourself, die for points kind of mentality. Like I think it's been lost somewhere. And I was thinking about this when I was running the other day because Nate and I are going to do the pro doubles high rocks. We're going to sign up for Toronto because we're an affiliate. We get early registration.
Jason and I are going to wreck you.
Good. You should. If you don't wreck us, you should be fucking embarrassed. Like we have in this scenario, we have everything to gain in this scenario. Just saying.
Jace sent me an Amazon adult size baby Bjorn that you can get, and he's gonna put that on his back, and I'm gonna ride him.
I like that. I like that. It's like The Hobbit.
Correct.
That'll be an early Halloween costume.
Oh man, that'd be hilarious. Anyways,
so bad.
Point of it is like I was running and I was thinking about this, and like everybody kind of knows this a little bit. I'm like a pretty aggressive person, and I posted on my Instagram, and I was like, yeah, I want people to take this as aggressive. Like, I'm not out there to win. I'm out there to make it really hard for you to win, or just annoying that you're like, God damn it, they're right there, like right on us. I like that. That's my goal. And then I also want to bury Nate, my partner, just make him feel worthless.
Just drag him.
You want to make your partner feel worthless?
Well, no, because he knows that. I openly told him that, and he knows, and I know. And so we're both going to work really hard, and we're going to see how this goes.
Jace going to put me in the vortex. I'm going to just be blacked out for an hour straight. I can't
wait. I like that. And like we were talking back and forth about, oh, should we do the open or should we do the pro? I was like, fuck it, dude. If we get last place in the pro, we're doing the pro. Like, just why are we gonna do the women's weight? Like, what? Because the open is the pro women's weight.
Yeah.
Kind of a jerk thing. But anyways,
Yeah, correct.
Hyrox is like, oh shit, we forgot the rule about baby bajorns. Yeah, that would be it. They'd be like, what? Yeah. Lose for Harley and Jace. Marissa also said it is a lose for you guys. Yeah. We're probably you're not probably. We will get smoked on by you guys, and it's totally fine. But listen, if we get last, it's because we suck, and I'm okay with that.
Jace is gonna
That's
just
fine.
have his hand on the small of my low back the entire run, just fucking
That's
pushing
fine.
me along,
Yeah.
shoving me in front of him.
Like, I know that I legit, this is gonna help my CrossFit
It
because
will.
everyone knows like that's my biggest weakness. And now that Marissa also has me doing a lot of like barbell accumulation, I've been really good. We railed this really cool workout that's like basically DT on Saturday. I felt like a champion. I was going synchro with Marissa, although she's not at 100%. But I was like, hey, we got home. I was like, hey, you can't get any fitter because I felt really good today with you, like just being on the same. Although the last round, the bar flew out of my hands and I looked like a little baby.
I thought you told me you stopped doing the shoulder to overhead because she was so fast.
No. That was the very last round. I was doing the hang cleans. You missed the whole story. Let me tell this story.
Okay, well, that was what I took away from it.
No, every round. And Nate was killing it too. We were all killing it. It was me, Nate, Kathleen, and Marissa. And like, we're all killing it, right? And we're going, and I'm going synchro with Marissa because it was supposed to be teams of 3. So I basically like shadowed her. So what happened was in the very last round, I'm getting fatigued and we're like 20, 30 seconds. I know it wasn't synchro, Marissa. I know. She says synchro, LOL. Must have been a different workout. I was trying to stay with her or before her. So Nate would have the proper rotation as if he was your partner. And what happened was we're in the hang cleans and 6 hang cleans. And in the 5th clean, it flew out of my hands because I was just, and this is the 7th round. And we're like right at the almost tipping point. And then I hear her barbell drop behind me. So I just get out of the way because I picked it up and I did the 5th clean and I was going to go into the 6th and the overhead. So Heather, I stopped the overhead at that point because I heard her barbell drop because it was Nate's turn to rotate in because yes, we were going, like Marissa says, we were shadowing.
I mean,
So,
you
okay,
could have just
shadowing sounds
finished
more
the
accurate.
work.
Shadow.
No,
Let
because
him
then Nate didn't have the proper rotation. You don't hear the story.
I understand.
I don't
But it sounds
suck.
like you miraculously got to short.
Well, I think the implication about shadow being more accurate is because you were behind them. You're on the ground behind them.
I
Get
get
it?
it. Ha ha. Anyways, it was good. But yeah, I felt really cool because she's like at 80%. And I was like, just stay this fit. It's really nice. It makes me feel great. Anyway, so we're training for that. And I'm going to start the running clubs on Tuesday, 9 a.m. We're going to start the 400 right at 9. If you're not there, you can come find us on the road. But I'm excited to put myself out there and Nate. And I think we're all going to do it. So if you guys are watching this and you want to do Hyrox Toronto, sign up. Pairs, doubles, triples. There's not triples, but you know what I'm saying. Do it. It'd be fun. We got a little.
I tried to recruit a couple guys from our gym. Luke is the guy that's like 7 foot tall, and then one of the other guys, JV. They might come out to Toronto. It's kind of up in the air, but yeah, from DTC.
Cody says, crushing it. Must only be counting the DT MRAP. Bro, you got handed to you. Two girls on that team, and they handled you. Okay, so props to Kathleen, props to Marissa, props to Nate. They handled
What about
you, bro.
Kayla and I? What about
You guys
us?
didn't beat. You guys were so slow on the bike, dude. You didn't were you pro teams with John? You were 30 calories behind them when I walked over.
Behind who?
Who's a crazy weasel? Who's a crazy weasel? Is that Luke?
Luca, yeah.
Luca.
Oh, yeah, Luca was there. Look at Jay said I'm just making excuses. No, dude, I was just living in the workout. Okay, I died. I was hanging out for dear life. It's fine.
I didn't.
Are you openly inviting people to join the pack? Yeah, if they want to. We're gonna get like racing singlets. You can buy them, but they're not done yet.
Are you really?
I want to.
Like the aerodynamic ones, like the
It's sick, dude.
spandex head to toe.
Oh,
Can I
that's
get an
girls. That's for
aerodynamic?
girls.
Can I get an aerodynamic helmet to cut through the wind?
Yeah. High Rocks Toronto brought to you by the pack. I thought F45 was sponsoring this. No.
No, no.
Please get me a singlet. So you want to wear the women's singlet. That's fine. Kathleen and I talked about this. We want to like do one piece for the women. I mean, whatever. You can wear whatever you want. It's fine.
Can I wear my leg warmers in my scrunchie?
I just said you could wear whatever you want. We're gonna get some.
Yeah,
anyways, the point of what I was making, and we got sidetracked about High Rocks again, which I want to stop doing, is
Mike Hughes got it. Speed walking suits, dude.
You have to have this killer mindset, like in training, to level up the next phase. So when we're talking about our athletes who are trying to compete in the sport, whether that's High Rocks or the sport of fitness, you got to like figure out how you're going to get aggressive, because this me versus me stuff doesn't work. Like even in High Rocks, I know like, okay, you're out there by yourself or with your buddy and you're trying to beat the clock and a time, but bro, there's other people next to you racing you.
No, I was trying to beat the guys that were right behind us.
Because you got a killer instinct. That's what I'm trying to convey to the people.
So we were like on the farmer carry. I look back, this guy's behind us, and they were jogging with them. And I took the kettlebells back from Danny, and I ran the rest of the whatever farmer carry, the rest of it by myself, just running.
That's
and
what
he was like, "You just did the whole thing," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Who cares? Keep going.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't gonna let them catch us.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what my main point is, like a level of like, you're not like, you may not win, nor is that even a reality. But when you're training, like you got to be like, I'm going to make it really hard for people.
Well, this is the team sport mentality, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Or I'm going to die for points mentality. I mean, that's a Glassman line, it's
Right.
a classic right there. People are willing to die for points. So it's like, you have to look at every training session. We talked about it, like finishing your race, like running all the way up through the clock. And if you do that right in training, then when it's time to kick in the open, you'll be able to hold on through the finish line. But if you often stop 1 to 2 reps early because you're like, oh, I would have to jump and I might get a toe to bar, I might not, like, then you're instilling a habit of stopping early. So it's like, you have to have the mindset of like, no, this training session, if it's a session where you're supposed to bring intensity, you're supposed to go hard, and you're supposed to optimize output, then yeah, go for it. Like, empty the tank.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an easy day, stay easy. But
right. Yeah. But I mean, realistically, I think there is value and efficacy in like 1 to 2 times a week. If you're these athletes that we're talking about that are in a semifinal area, or if like you find that your problem is like you're just short, you're just shy of quarterfinal. Well, they don't have quarterfinals anymore, but
what are those?
You're just shy of getting to semifinals. You're just shy of qualifying for that competition that you're like building for. And it's like, hey, it's a handful of reps, or you're trying to make that jump into a next group. And like we already covered in the very beginning, you have this requisite skills, right? Heather talked about our athletes on site a year ago. Some of those workouts, they would have stood there and just, I don't want to say be embarrassed, but yeah, like to a degree, like what Tyler was talking about of why people might have not signed up, is that they're at a point where like, oh, I can't do that many ring muscle ups, or I can't do that snatch, or I can't put those 50s, 70s over my head. Like, that's really challenging. I'm just not going to sign up, Or
I have to go touch and go on this barbell to get one burpee.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Touch and go. Well, dude, Madeline Sturt on the Harley doesn't watch any content, but the Proven thing, she was like, she got asked by BC, their camera guy, are you excited for this one? Because they know that she'd be good at it. And she looks at him like dead in the face and she goes, you think anyone's fucking excited for this one? And I was like, there it is. Hardest workout.
Yeah.
Because like when you're that good, and she qualified for the games.
You know what you have to do.
Right. And it's going to hurt bad. And like, that's what we're talking about. Like that killer instinct, fire breather mentality. And like and I thought about, like, I bring back to the running thing, because Marissa and I were talking about this, and like the running CrossFit, you don't have any control until you have control. Like realistically, like think about somebody starting CrossFit, or think about yourself starting CrossFit, or think about yourself trying to get to the next level in training. When you enter a workout, you start the workout and shit goes sideways most of the time, or gets really tough, or you can't breathe, or your grip blows up, or this or that. And you're just like, you can't pull back and slow it down. You can't control it. I mean, you could, but then your score's bad, and there's like all these things happening. It's just it's a cluster of stuff, right? Whereas running, and I thought about this when I was running the thousands, I was like, man, you like just stay and toe the line, don't bleed over the threshold, hold the pace, and just breathe. And nothing is going to happen unless I try to run faster. But even pulling it back just a scotch, nothing happened. I got a good pace. I'm running. It's good. I'm in control. I can control this pace. I can repeat the intervals. It's not hard. And I feel immense control that I don't feel in CrossFit until you get really good at controlling the workouts. And Marissa and I were talking about this because she says, and Harley might be able to speak to this.
We look at Jace's comment because they will align with what you're going to say.
All right, let's read it. It's important to dive for points in training if you know the next day you will not be able to perform. Only if that's like the
design. Continue your explanation about learning to pace. Go for it.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is like running can teach you. That's why I think a lot of people like running over like CrossFit or anything else that's really fucking hard is you can control that to hold the pace, be successful, not endure immense amount of pain, like just enough pain, but you're still proud of your effort. Cause like if I slowed down by 20 seconds per 1,000, that experience is way different than holding the line for 20 seconds faster. Then in CrossFit, like you don't have that choice or decision sometimes because of the undulating demands of this is anaerobic, this is aerobic, this is mechanical tension, this is relaxation, this like there's just so much happening, so much metabolic stuff happening, and you're switching energy, quote unquote, switching energy systems, and you got to deal with things, and there's bottlenecks and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot versus having the reins so tight in your hands when running. But the only way I think CrossFitters, like to Jace, what Jace is asking is like the only way that CrossFitters are going to get that type of control is to bleed into being out of control for a while.
So this is where I guess we're going to actually disagree a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. I think that analogy of pulling up the reins to hold a pace, to hold a controllable output on your run, that is something that people need to do more often in training, in interval repeated work of CrossFit.
Most people. I'm talking about people we're talking about that are like
right in the bubble. But let me continue.
Yeah.
So most people need to do that for all their intervals, just to learn how to repeat work. For someone like Jace, for someone who's at an affiliate semi, someone who's been, has a high training age, lots of volume and interval work under their belt, I would say you start there and you try to negative split and figure out how to toe say it's 3 intervals. Interval 1, pull up the reins, controlled output, but still bring intensity. Not saying it's easy, but be in control the whole time.
I don't know. Think about this.
You're missing out on a third of your opportunity is probably what you're going to get at. But my point is, if you're still bringing 95% effort and then you toe the line and get 100% effort, and then you toe the line, or then you blow past the line in interval 3 and explode, or feel that out of control sensation, then you learn when and where to do that, and you're not going to necessarily be completely empty for the next day. And so that's where I'm getting at for Jace's question of, if you have back-to-back training days and you're trying to optimize a week and balance intensity.
I disagree with this.
Okay, go ahead.
Wholeheartedly. Because one, intensity drives adaptation.
Correct.
Secondarily, and the reason why I disagree is just to the CrossFit sense, and we're using that workout, the shuttle runs, the clean and jerks, and the burpees. For the females, they had to go unbroken if they wanted the requisite score to achieve the thing that they're looking for. For the men, some went some number of touch and go, some went really fast, unbroken singles. The weights don't bounce as much for the men, so there's a difference there. You watch Jeffrey Adler do it, and not saying you got to be Jeffrey Adler, but the point is the ask and demand of that workout is so far beyond people's, even the bubble semifinal athletes' reach and abilities, that the only way that you're really going to ever get to that level is if you try that level. And so you're arguing to be pacing and methodical, which is great. But my assumption is that
it depends on the format of the workout. With this type of speed work, you have to train speed to get fast. I agree.
You still interval with a 1 minute rest, 2 minute rounds. So to your argument of negative splitting, you're not getting.
I'm talking about like a 1-to-1, like training workout So
Sure, but
keeping in context of like Jace's question about training versus
right, I'm saying he's missing a fuck ton, because if he's not doing that at that requisite level, you're never going to reach that requisite level without trying that requisite level, right? So if Meg has this problem, and I talk to her all the time about it. She's so good at pacing to get the score that she desires. And the score that she desires is keeping her where she's at on these leaderboards. She needs to punch through that ceiling and that threshold. And I'm not saying all the time. I agree with you. There is time for training and everything else. But part of her training is, hey, look, dude, you're never going to do it unless you do it. You know, you got to try to run the 52-second 400 meters. If you're trying to run a sub, you got to try. Like if you always 101, 101, 101, or in your argument, you start at 105, 104, 103, 102. Well, you never ran the sub 1. You don't ever feel or get that adaptation. The CrossFit methodology of intensity drives adaptation. And you might run that sub 400 meters and explode yourself, like his question, and die. And tomorrow you can't even train. For someone like him or Meg or people trying to break through who've done the pacing, they've done this thing for so long that you can watch them methodically pace through a workout, perfectly plan it, execute it, that there's a time where you have to say, hey, we're throwing this all out the window and we're going back to some of the fire breather stuff where it does not matter. You need to wreck yourself.
Yeah. Like I gave him fast start intervals, whatever, a couple weeks ago, and it started with like 50 cal echo bike, and I gave him an output to hold, and he said that he was hyperventilating so bad that he couldn't get onto the total bar right after the bike. Like there's a time and place to bring a level of intensity that is at the edge or past your current ability.
Yeah.
I think that the delicate balance is what Jace is alluding to, is like, if you're trying to manage your intensity, generally speaking, and you're kind of like in a build up phase to a competition.
Yeah. He's in a different scenario. I'm saying like, okay, he does what NCC.
Yeah.
Cause that's his build. He does NCC and he's like, hey, because this is like what we're going through. And I think athletes need to realize this. They need to take a value. Not everyone's in this category. There are a lot of people where it's like, look, we just got to get accumulation of your gymnastics. We just got to get your barbell strength up or whatever. But let's say he gets out of NCC and he's just like, man, the guys were just like a click faster than I am. And I will tell you, I feel like, and I've run into this with experience with athletes, and they're just a little faster. And it's just like, man, it's just the intensity level. You know, we need to do everything we're doing the same. We need to work on your weaknesses like you're doing. Nothing really changes other than the conversation around what I'm saying. And I think that was my biggest takeaway of watching the girls, is like, man, they're so good. And the community watches them and go, they're amazing. And they are. I don't want to take this conversation, doesn't take anything away from that. If they were like, hey, I don't really want to do that, and I don't really want to do this anymore, I just want to like train, and I like a competitive training program, they're going to stay fit and amazing and healthy and everything else. And they don't have to take that leap if they don't. Their psychological tolerances, like Greg used to talk about, don't allow it. Because that's where we're going to. We're going into this realm of David Goggins, mindset stuff, which they've earned this area because they're trying to get that little bit of like Navy SEAL fit that most people should never even come close to, I don't think, unless they're like down the funnel, which like Jace is going to, I mean, we'll see. He might get out there and like whatever, he crushes it, and then we don't even need to have this conversation.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation after Desert City. He got the opportunity to compete against people who had been at semifinals, multiple times. And he was just like, yeah, he's like, they just had that exactly what you said. They were just a touch faster.
And the part of me was reborn in that workout. See, I love it. It's
for sure, dude. You're going to learn a whole new self.
Like
you're going to find a whole new version of yourself.
I'll be running, trying to like improve my running for High Rocks. And I'm going to say that shit in my mind. I'm going to be reborn. Jace, that's gonna motivate me, bro. Your phrase is gonna motivate me to I'm gonna wave at you and Harley. See ya.
Okay.
Dude, if I could do that, I'll lose my mind. Anyways,
go. We had just had a very similar. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking crush you. I'm just kidding.
That's good. I love
it. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say all this stuff and I'm gonna get last.
No, you're not.
Jace is gonna leave me behind and be like, "You're too slow." See ya.
Oh, you get penalties.
I know you do. He's like, "I'm doing this individually now. I'm deciding right here, right now."
I thought it's the individual division.
Yeah. Anyways, all jokes aside, Yeah, Jason and I had a very similar conversation after that Desert City. He was a touch behind the curve, and he was like, "Man, I can hold the pace for 70% of the race, but then I just blew up. When I was running the race with them, he's like, I would just fade. He's like, and they could just keep holding this pace.
Right.
I was like, that just means you need to hold the pace in training more often. And when you're training alone, you need to be thinking about them and that level athlete that you're going to be competing against and that you are going to be, because that's the pace that you have to hold. And then with my own anecdote, when we did quarterfinals that year that I qualified 23 semifinals, when I retested everything, I was very methodical in my first execution. I wrote out all my splits. I had my plan. I had my execution. I hit the nail on the head every single time, and really just had really, really clean runs. And then when I went to retest it, I would watch my video, make a slightly faster approach, and I would make it literally up until like the last 30 seconds of the workout, and I would just melt down, just completely explode.
Yeah, because you haven't touched the hot stove.
I haven't gotten that tolerance to that pace yet. So I could run that pace for literally 90 to 95% of it, but I would explode right at the end. Yeah. And so exactly what you're saying, you have to experience speed, you have to practice speed, and you have to know what that pace is to build the ability to hold on to it. But
yeah, I mean, it's like
the dosing is where the magic is, I think.
Correct. Yeah. No, I agree. And like we're having this conversation, and it's like Renata was like, people like me, basically, like she needs to pace, right? There's a lot there. 99.9% of people come in a CrossFit gym and do high intensity interval training need to learn how to pace better. Yeah, that's what James Fitzgerald would say. I agree with it. After years of experience watching lots of different people of different degrees, from high level elite athlete to brand new to CrossFit, most people, like you said, do need to pace, and most people need to learn how to do negative splits. But there are people who do need to get in to this like fire breather zone and put their hand on the stove and hold on to that hot stove for as long as they can, and then come back the next day and try it again. And that's something also James Fitzgerald would say is like, you need to earn the right to do intensity, which is what we're talking about. And then from there, it's basically like you need to smash yourself on a rower and then have a sandwich, take a nap, and come back and do it again. And like that saying, although he's joking, he's serious in a degree of that. And I think for me as a coach, because we've scienced out a lot of things, which gets people from like this point of like, you know, to a really high level athlete that sometimes have no business being that high level, because we've exercise science the training. Then it's like, okay, well, let's see how tough you are, because you take a skilled athlete who's tough as nails, like Colton Mearns, and you apply a decent training program, he's going to get better, right? You see what's happened to Jason Hopper on Brute. You apply I'm going to hate on HWPO, but it's true. You apply a better training program to a guy who is really good, and look what he's doing now. That's easy. The hard thing is like what we're talking about with Jace.
Yeah, but HWPO burns fat, dude.
Listen, dude, don't even bring that shit up. They're fucking dead to me. Let's not even.
Jace, heads up.
Let's not even talk about that.
Since you're the first week back after a deload, do not run your head in the wall this week.
I need my charger. Talk about stuff while I grab this charger.
Okay, so time and place for intensity. Week 1 of a new cycle or new progression is probably not the day to like figure out where that line is. Like, been listening to some Train Think Tank stuff. Kyle Ruth, my old coach, and he said it in a very simple way. You have to give yourself a runway to progress down. If the first week of a progression, you do the hardest intensity, the highest volume, the most rigorous training you've ever done in your life, how are you supposed to progress that? So week one should be a little bit governed. Like there should be a little bit of pullback on the reins.
That's a good timing for a deload. Good job.
What?
That's a really good timing for a deload based on when the competition is. Good job.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Jace. So it actually he helped with that one because he wanted to go to the beach with his wife or something. Gosh, so lame. But it was good. It timed out pretty well. Anyways, so as you get back into a new cycle, govern yourself week 1, build momentum week 2, week 3, week 4, depending on how long the cycle is that you're on. That's when you should be like really tapping into that maximum intensity and overreaching and really asking the most of yourself. But if you don't give yourself the opportunity to build each week, you're going to hit that wall sooner than, is productive. It's not necessarily going to give you the opportunity to grow.
Seek. Yeah, that's kind of what I learned. I mean, I learned a few things from the semifinals, but as like athlete centric stuff, that's the biggest takeaway is like, I think we've done, and I look at the leaderboard and it's like crazy. I know a lot of like the guys and the girls, and like we've done so much and we've been in the space, and like it's cool because we've seen a lot of these people at competition. So we've seen them in person, we've seen their natural progression of training. We've seen some people regress and progress and everything else, but like, you keep tabs on these things as a coach. You're like, I know you wonder like how is their training going? What adaptations are they gonna get? How are they gonna do? And again, it's one test in time. So there's also that aspect. The field is what it is. That's a variable. So it may not always be indicative of, but now that we have the videos online, we can kind of watch and see how good or regress people have gotten. And like, I just think generally in the group, like it's one of those things where you watch some of the old school stuff with Tia and Matt getting better and they're like killing themselves. And like Tia's like, I'm breathing like an elephant. And I think we've lost that a little bit in like what I will call new school CrossFit. Especially once you get really good, like Harley's saying, like you're able to pace, do the splits, you got all the skill accumulation, everything else. It's like, well, now you can do everything. So let's try to figure out how to burn this mother down.
Well, like Tristan kind of said it on a previous call that we had, where it was like a lot of people are in a position where they're competing against the workout and their ability to do the workout. Yeah. But then once you've earned the right and have the requisite skills, the loading, the rate of travel, etc., then you get to race and play the game. Yeah. And so like if you're still in the developmental phase of becoming fitter, more well-rounded, filling in holes to have the requisite abilities, yeah, you have to learn to pace. You have to fill those holes. You have to be strong enough, skilled enough, whatever.
You also have to like be stupid enough to, like what I was saying with the running, you feel really in control in the running, and there's not a lot of chaos and everything else. And like, you can kind of master it pretty easily. And I think that's why a lot of people like running versus like CrossFit. That's what people say. It's just too intense, blah, blah, blah. And it's too intense because by the nature of some of the movements, you just blow up right away. And as you get fitter, you blow up less and you have more control. And I think people, I mean, even myself, I like getting into a workout and feeling that control in a workout and holding the reins of what it is and then being successful, like you said, in the workout. But some value sometimes is like push up on that threshold, drive into that pain, the quote unquote pain cave, go dark, fire breathing, like all the words and things that are on t-shirts that were so popular in 2013 to 2017. Harley's laughing because this is true. Try to live that a little bit as like an ethos of it so that you can go and be stupid a little. Like, you get newer CrossFitters or hardcore enthusiasts of CrossFit back in the day, and they come in and literally kill themselves. Like we've all seen that because we've been around long enough. And then, it's gotten a little smarter and a little bit better. And I think that's appropriate for general GPP, but you got to like be dumb.
I think I'm just soft now.
Or you're soft there. Well, that happens too. You get a little,
you get smarter and you're like, oh, I don't have to go this hard all the time.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah. Like you said, you can game the workout to get a good score and feel good about yourself and not have to kill yourself to look, feel, and get a good workout and still progress and be elite, quote unquote, relative to.
I'm not elite.
Look, dude, compared to 95% of people or more, slightly more, you are really elite. And I think
if you really want to be competitive and elite in this sport, you have to, like Javi said it on one of our calls when we first were talking. And he was like, yeah, man, you just got to want it. Because I told him, I was like, yeah, I just sort of pivoted away from competing because of XYZ. And he was like, yeah, man, I guess you just got to really want it. And I mean, he didn't mean to say that in like a negative, like tear me down type of way, but just acknowledging his work schedule, his life schedule. He's like, he's grinding. And that's what everyone is doing. There's no lack of effort or hard work in this space.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just the nature of the game that we're playing. Everyone was working hard. and everyone believes they're working hard.
Yeah, dude, that is another crazy thing because everyone's like, well, I tried really hard. Like HWPO, hard work pays off. It does, but it doesn't always pay off in the way that you think. That's the first thing. The second thing, everyone is working hard, dude. If you think that you're outworking somebody, you're not. You're wrong. You're already wrong because you're not outworking somebody. Because if you were, you'd see your name at the top right next to Ariel Lowen. You know?
I went biking this past weekend, went on a bike ride with this guy. I met him for the first time, this friend of a friend. And he's like, yeah, CrossFit's kind of scary. And he's like a 60-something-year-old dude, but he's just been endurance his whole life. And he ran an 8-mile trail run, won his age group at a race that morning, went out with us, rode bikes for another 2 hours, which I'm not the best mountain biker, but like it was a challenging day. It was hot, direct sunlight, whatever. And I'm like, this old man, for lack of a better description,
scared of CrossFit.
This old man's scared of CrossFit because he says he called us the crazy ones. And I'm like, you just did what today?
Yeah.
Like every CrossFitter would hear that and be like, dude, that's a savage right there. Yeah. Everyone looks at, like most CrossFitters look at endurance athletes and they're like, dude, they're crazy.
Yeah.
And so talk about everyone's like perception of hard work and the way it'll pay off is like everyone in every discipline is working hard, and there's plenty of people working harder than you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, still have value in your hard work and like have a pride in that. Right. But don't think that that's because I know you're bringing this up because I hear it all the time. And like, it bothers me because I laugh. I'm like, well, because like, I'm working hard. I put in my best effort. Like, I'm not like Heather will say it to me sometimes. Like, I'm trying. I'm like, bro, everyone is trying right now. Like, what do you mean I'm trying? Like that's like the entry to play. Like you bought the ticket, your effort and my trying is the ticket. Now we're on the ride. Like, come on, let's do something exceptional right now. You know what I mean? And she's laughing because it is funny that she says that. And most of the time it's in a dire moment where she is suffering pretty hard. And she's like, I'm trying. And I'm like, yeah, try harder. Like there's more to give here. We got to do it. But like, that's the biggest thing is like, I think people lean on that too much of like, I'm trying, I am giving my best. I'm blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude,
well, it's more
everybody.
just acknowledging what you need to do. It's not
right.
anything in the moment when you're suffering.
It's almost an excuse.
That's the response because your brain isn't whatever. But what you're actually saying is that's not it.
Yeah, that's not it. That ain't it. Like Marissa says, that's not it. Let's see what Renata has to say. So I think the hard concept for GPP people, though, who think because people are skilled in something that they are better, but we all can work harder on our faults. Yeah, I mean,
people hide behind their skills.
Yeah, dude. I was just gonna say that. So like, skills are super important. I bought these tennis balls and I'm going to film some like fun little athletic things because I want to build more athleticism within our gym and everything else. And then I bought timing gates because for our running this summer, we're going to test everyone's 40-yard dash. And so like, we're going to just see how fast everybody is. And we're trying to build that athleticism. But like, realistically, it's a good test. It's going to show you if you're fast or not fast. And that really doesn't mean anything other than, hey, we need to get stronger, more explosive and teach you better running mechanics in the sprint. Cause it's a lot of like your power output into the ground on the first couple of steps. And then how much you can turn over your legs, how quickly, cause you're done, in 6 seconds. And a lot of it is dependent on mechanics, positioning, athleticism, and then power off the go. I want that to develop. But that doesn't mean like what we're not saying. We could take everybody, which we're going to do, and we're going to see how this goes. We're going to take everybody in the gym. And obviously there's going to be some people who are going to just crush it day one. And then we're going to do some development and they're going to crush it again. That doesn't mean that they're better, like Renata is saying. That just means that they have a higher skill development or their background. Like if we have some football players, we got some soccer players, field sport athletes, they're obviously going to do better than someone who's never put a pair of cleats on and ran, on the field. Like that's clear. And so same thing goes with like somebody who comes from gymnastics or somebody who's been doing, I was talking about ring muscle ups today. Like I have the muscle efficiency to do a ring muscle up. And what we're trying to build is capacity. I can do one ring muscle up as long as my shoulders stay healthy for probably the rest of my life. I will never, and I could go years without doing a ring muscle up potentially and be able to do it Like you asked me to do one, I'll be able to do one because I've done so many. And that skill of doing that has nothing to do, as long as I keep my pull-up strength strong and my dipping strength strong, I won't lose that neural connection, that patterning and that sequence to do that. Just like when people learn the piano and they're like great pianists, they'll continue to be able to play. They may not be as sharp as they were at their prime of like playing every day, whatever they're doing, but they'll be able to play for the entirety of their life. The same thing is true for these skills. Now, you may not be able to do, let's say, 20 ring muscle ups unbroken, but you could probably hop up without training, but having general physical preparedness and do 5 unbroken. Like that's never going to go anywhere. Same thing with toes to bar, same with handstand walking, same with this. Just your capacity, the amount that you can do in a given time or a given set is going to go down because you're not conditioned. That's just how that works. So yes, having the misconception of, hey, I'm fitter because I'm not getting bottlenecked by these things. And I hate to bring it around again to freaking high rocks, but because there is no bottleneck in high rocks, I do think high rocks is a general true test of fitness, although they've changed the turf carpet and we won't even talk about that, but they made it easier. So you're going to see a lot of smaller athletes do better, lighter athletes do better.
Yay.
It's more of an endurance sport than it is a strength sport, and the pull push is not going to slow people down. It's a big thing in the high rocks community right now because I watch Hunter McIntyre's. I don't watch it, I just listen to it, but he's up in arms about it. And a lot of the bigger athletes, for obvious reasons, are up in arms about it. But it is a higher test right now. I hope they keep the same turf or they figure out how to fix that. A higher test of fitness because anyone can do it. I like things like that where anyone can test that fitness capacity piece. Just like we're going to do on the same day that we do the 40, we're going to do the beep test. So we have both ends. We have the high skill thing that we're going to learn on, positional work, power output, and then we're just going to do some dummy
repeated work,
and that's, you got to balance those things. So to Renato's point, it's very important to be balancing this. And this goes into like talking about Jace's thing or a high level athlete. You need to balance this hardcore intensity thing that I'm saying, because you've earned the right to do that with what Harley's saying, really smart training. And that's why I argued with him to a degree, is because like, I think you got to figure out where that line is as a coach for that athlete. If you don't have a coach, you need to figure out where that line is for you, because you could do way too much and just kill yourself, get hormonal imbalances, get injuries, all kinds of stuff, because you're going way too hard, way too fast, way too often. So like those are different scenarios, but it's almost the same thing of like when to apply the thing that is greatly important and how does it define the characteristics of fitness that we're looking to achieve over the whole thing. So like, it's wild. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where I was going with people hide behind their skills is you kind of touched on it. You're like, oh, is this person better than me because they're not getting bottlenecks in the workout? It's like, if a workout's designed to have a bottleneck in it, aka some of the open workouts, yeah, the person who has the skill will be rewarded for that, and that is what they're looking for, is the people who have the skill, have capacity in the skill, etc. But from a training perspective, as we move into the off season, people should be trying to shore up any of those deficiencies, whatever skills limiting them that they are concerned about, through easy foundational fundamentals, drills, strength development within the positions, and then building, like you talked about in your previous video, the requisite volume of the given skills. Say someone has the skills. There was a period of time where I'm like, yeah, I like heavy and high skill. That's like the type of thing I'm good at. Like back in like 2017. That was because it made me feel special, because I could beat quite a few people in that who didn't have those requisite skills. But you give me a wall ball rowing workout, you give me, something that is a little bit longer, sustained and grindy, or like nasty classic CrossFit that's like a 8 to 12 minute time domain, 15-minute time domain, like I would have a really, really hard time because of my lack of fitness to back up the skills. So like, people hide behind heavyweights and skills, and that's why quarterfinals made people feel special. And like then taking that, in this new direction of the space, the sport, like if it, let's just hypothetically say is the same as this year, and we're going open to an online semifinal, and you have to be top 1% in the open, that means you have to be faster, you have to be fitter, you have to have the actual work capacity within low barrier to entry CrossFit, rather than the people
Well,
who can just lift weights.
I would
I'm-
say I would
You have to have both,
I would
sure.
say 80% of if you follow CrossFit.com, what you just described, even though you said I just have a hard time with a low barrier entry
That's just what people I think correlate it
Sure,
to.
they do. And I anytime someone says that, and I know that people say that, that's becoming like a normal phrase to say, is like easy CrossFit, low barrier entry, it's inclusive. Like everyone says that shit. They have not, and you know this, and I think it's just you're just saying it because everybody else is saying it.
Yeah.
Not about you, it's about the world of CrossFit. I'm drawing a line in the sand. Watch CrossFit.com. 80% of the workouts look like open workouts. You're stupid.
What you were like, oh, pick the Send It workouts, Harley. What the hell
Yeah.
did I go find?
Old school CrossFit open workout style workouts. Like
2011, baby.
Yeah, 2011 workouts. So like that's the thing is like
Classic.
people want their version of CrossFit, and like I want my version of CrossFit too. I try to do the best job I can to not have a bias and remember what CrossFit is. You know, as like a testing body, as a training protocol. You know, and that's why I send you guys some of the articles, like the old school ones when they pop up, and I laugh because it's like 2025, and I sent you guys something that Broken Science posted from 2001 about, you know, like training distributions and stuff. And it's just like, oh man, this stuff's been around for a really long time. And like somehow it's the telephone game of training and people have like gotten it wrong because they pull away from their bias, and that's okay. But like, and I don't want to like go fully back, like even the conversation about like the intensity and the fire breathers. I don't want to go too far that way because there is value and efficacy in some of the other things that we do. But it's keeping it in mind. It's like your CrossFit is your CrossFit, but there still is CrossFit that you're missing the mark on. And I wish people would just take a second and look at that.
Can we talk about the game of telephone and how that it seems more, I mean, I feel like I just noticed it, but multiple training companies will just like pivot to this like new bias like all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like every year
on a group chat.
someone starts doing we're all on a group chat.
We're
like,
we're not in that group chat.
I think it's like a subconscious, like some of it's subconscious if you're not you see it, you replicate it.
Yeah.
But then like you don't acknowledge where you saw it first because it was like a subconscious acknowledgement, right? For me, the weird one was like one day I just started looking into Conjugate. I genuinely just looked up YouTube videos, podcasts, all this stuff. And it was like 2 years ago when I was still training. And
it's just your algorithm. It's just
no, I looked up podcasts myself.
I understand that. And then your phone is listening and then it's just feeding you all this stuff.
But then Justin Medeiros started doing all that band stuff with Jesse.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Ruth started doing band assisted work. Like it was all simultaneous. It was just like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, that was weird.
Which is crazy because that
was weird because those are all very different. And it's an old methodology and an old approach. Like it's not new, but we all just like circled back to it at the same time. And then another one was funny was Tristan from Ascend. He posted run, row, run, guess my distances. And I said 100 meters, 10 calories, 100 meters, which I was just kidding, obviously. And he's like, oh no, I did a mile, 2K, a mile. I was like, oh, cool. You did the hero workout called Jerry. And he goes, what is that? And I sent it to him. I was like, it's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
And then now Training Think Tank came out with their rendition of Jerry.
Right.
This is literally within the same like 2-month window.
Yeah.
It's like all the same time.
Well, I think the reason why I think that happens is because, and I laughed because Noah sent me something. I was like, oh, haha, I think like them. But it's really because the science is the science. And a lot of us either have learned the science or went to school for the science. Like, because even Kyle Ruth has a master's degree in exercise science. And then you read the same books, right? So you're building your education and knowledge. Then you're working with people. And I talk to Renata about this often because she just got her PhD and she wants to run a study in here with people, which is kind of cool. But I'm like, no, this stuff's already been like out. And like we could run that study. That's fine. But that's because like you have a laboratory, and Greg has said this for years. So you're learning this stuff, and then your practical application as a CrossFit coach inside of a gym that you could do whatever you want. You know, if you work for a strength and conditioning, like Marissa worked for Stanford University, you wouldn't be caught dead doing anything out of the normal. So you'd be out the door, right? So their dogmatic approach, whether you agree or disagree with it, it may not even be dogmatic because it still works for a lot of these teams and everything else. But in our point of view, CrossFit Gym, that we have no bounds and you can do whatever you want, the dogmatic approach, quote unquote, is not working. So then you are able to experiment and try, which then builds, your knowledge base, your experience, and you're working with so many different people with different anthropometrics, different athlete backgrounds, different lifestyles. So you're now building experience. And I think what's happening, because we've been in the space for so long, is that most of us are naturally stumbling across the combinations that work really well with a lot of these things. And you're even seeing it at Hyrox. They're like, you look at Hunter McIntyre or some of these other people who need to get strong. They're looking at moving the bar speed faster. They're looking at what their force production is, because they know that they need to keep the force production up in the implements and movements while still keeping their running, not, what do they call it? Running under fatigue or running
interference.
Running interference.
Compromised.
Yeah, compromised running. Yeah, whatever the fuck they're saying. But what they're saying is they're saying compromised running, but we've known that for years and we know what that is. We know that they need to keep their running speed faster and better, and it's sub-maximal to their overall pace, so that when the elevation of mechanical tension and blood pressure rise and their production of ATP needs to increase through glycolysis, doesn't overwhelm the system, so they can continue running at the pace that they need to run at. That's science. They're seeing that in their experience of training and everything else, and then coming out on the internet saying, well, compromise running, da 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 da. The science has been there. So I think what we're all seeing now, because of all the information, all the podcasts, everything else, things like what we're doing right now on YouTube, we're all getting this information, which is great, because I think we're learning faster. And I think our awakening is coming to a place where it's going to be really fucking cool in the next 5-10 years for strength coaches and fitness coaches. Because if you don't know these things, well, you have a you problem. You haven't invested in the expansive knowledge and education, and we're doing the hard work and the labor for you by working with moms, dads, and everybody else, and then elite athletes, and applying these things and seeing what they are and these stimulus and going, this works, this doesn't work, throw this out, use this, put this in, build training structures like this, build the week like this much aerobic work, this much strength work. And we're building superhuman individuals in a systemized, linear way that is producing adaptations and results that no one's ever seen before. Even Greg couldn't even imagine. He said that. He said the work that affiliates have done, I never even would have thought would be possible. I knew that this would work in these combinations, but the human beings, the result of this methodology, he never thought would be possible for a human being to do what they're doing. It's crazy. Crazy, dude. Thanks for that. You just threw me off my handle. That was sick.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to, in summary, what you and I said in like 2017 at your gym that's now standard strength at Currahee. It was like, yeah, dude, 21:59 is 21:59.
Yeah.
Like, sick. The fitness is the fitness,
Yeah.
The magic is in the details and the dosing, the coaching, the communication. So
yeah, it's wild. I think not for everyone though, right? But like, yes, for like the Jace example, our semifinal athlete example, the games level athletes, like you could do any program. I think it depends on the athlete that is taking that program and doing it. And then, like you just said, the communication and the coach behind that program and what they're giving to that person. So it's like, it's beyond the X's and O's. Like the X's and O's, I think for a lot of us, I know for us in our group of coaches are spot on. It's more of what the athlete's going to get out of it. The questions, Jace getting on, listening, asking questions of you, communication and agreeing with the things, and then seeing the adaptations and results.
And also not trying to change things in the middle.
Oh yeah. Don't change things. Be reborn.
Like, just let the work do the work.
Right.
Like, don't try to micromanage the work. Like, just show up and apply yourself.
Yeah.
And then do your job to recover.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. But I'm kind of excited. I want to get everyone at that next level and figure out. I've been trying to figure out like
I think I'm gonna quit.
So, hey, I say that a lot. I'm retired. I'm retiring. This is it.
Untrue.
I think because the thing is like everyone's so different, and like one-on-one coaching is superior to any type of coaching for any athletic movement endeavor, even if you're trying to get healthy. One-on-one coaching. That's why personal training has been around forever. And yes, it makes a lot of money. I get that. But it is the fastest way to get to what you want and the best way to get to what you want. Right. So I have a bias in that, but the bias does hold true when you start looking at people who go to just group class all the time and people get a one-on-one coach or individualized or a personal training or whatever. And like, I say it and I'm like, how do you get people to the next level? And I really wish there was a way to systemize, these phases. And we all know, and I talk about this all the time, my background's in martial arts. So belt systems, and I know the level method has tried to do that for GPP. I don't think it works well. I think there's too many confounding factors. There's too many parts and pieces, and people come into, if you had somebody fresh, like a kid athlete, a teen athlete who's going to play sports and everything else, and what those adaptations from the sport are giving them, and then you're giving them this stuff, and I think you could definitely control what you want and put them through like the system. But you get a 40-year-old person who wants to be a master's athlete, or you get a 20-year-old person who's, just out of sports and like kind of made it, kind of didn't make it, and then they want to do this CrossFit thing, basically the avatar of what these people are. You have little to no control of their athlete history. So it's hard to fit them into like a mold of a system. Well, that's why some days I want to quit, because there is no perfect system and people need to respect the individuality of it all. And like Harley's saying, like respect where they're at in the process and the work, and let us take care of everything else to like drive them to that next level or just even improve themselves. It's really tough.
Yeah. I'm not saying be a blind follower of an athlete, but I think compliant. Yeah, you kind of need to be, but like being compliant is like, that's arguably like step one of the agreement. like that's like showing up, doing the work, putting in feedback. Like those are the non-negotiables, is like the athlete side of it. Funny story I heard from Brandon Dorman back in the day. He started working with a guy. He fat fingered an extra 0 on the end of a workout, and it's supposed to be 10 rounds for time.
Oh, Trevor did John too.
Accidentally got 100-round workout, and the guy quit after round 30 or something, and was like, if this is what it takes to be a regional or games athlete, he's like, I don't think I'm cut out for it. And then he quit with Brandon like a week later.
No,
like kind of like ran himself on the ground and like didn't give himself another shot or whatever. Anyways, blind compliance to the point where you're going to do something injurious or silly, I'm not asking for that, but like showing up and just doing the work.
I think there's a difference between asking questions, and like being stupid. The athlete, like, I don't want to hate on this person because I'm sure they're really nice and everything else, but like looking at that program and being like, fuck 100, maybe you should have sent a text to your coach. Like that's not 100
having
rounds,
a clarifying question just to verify accuracy of execution. Awesome. Do it. That makes complete sense. All for it. Like, but saying like, oh, I'm going to adjust this because of this, and it's not like
injury related.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, like even Jay says, like, I would literally do anything Harley put in my training. And like,
I don't think Jace actually knows this one yet, but one time I put in bench press, and it meant to be dumbbell bench press, and I said max unbroken reps at 75 pounds, and I was picturing 75-pound dumbbells, and he did like 70 to 80 unbroken bench press at like a 75-pound bar, and he said he couldn't pick up his arms the next day. So he is telling the truth.
There are errors that get made, right? We're human beings writing program design, and that's going to happen. But I think the sentiment of it all, of like what he's saying, when you build enough trust and efficacy in a program with a coach, you definitely should you should lean into that. And if you're getting results and success with that coach, I think this statement rings true. And like, you found yourself a good coach. As long as you're getting the results that you're looking for and sustaining whatever it is. Cause like in the sport of CrossFit, it's gonna be really tough because there's like highs and lows with a lot of things because there's so much variability. Whereas like something like running or high rocks or something very fixed, you can see that trajectory. Although running and like even cycling, like if you're at a different course, but let's say you run LA marathon, it's the same course. You run it every year. If you improve in that course with the coach that you have, you should stay with that coach and just be, doing it. But like if you're running Boston and LA and then you're like, I'm not getting better, coach. It's like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
But I don't think if you find a really good coach that you like, and like Jace, like I see this and everything else, and I know there's like life constraints and everything, but I think like reading this and knowing the growth and progression you guys have had, as a lifetime athlete, like you'd have to be to a degree. Like you, even if you get anything else, like you found it. You found the relationship works. And James Fitzgerald talks about this too. No one's ever going to stay forever. But once you get that thing going the way it's going with like this statement and the success that Jace is having with Harley, it's like, I would never leave. And James Fitzgerald talks about this. If you don't know who he is, OG, OPEX, OPT, and that is the key component. One of the key, like all the things we just talked about, that is like the key component. And so hopefully you find that like Jace and Harley have, because that's how you're gonna meet your opportunity and potential at the same point and get maximum success. Or like that, you could do it that way. And they said, I remember that part A of me was reborn that day. What comes before part B?
You said a part of me.
Oh, a part of me. Dang it. I was thinking of like party, you know, like it's a whole party. Like that workout was a party.
Yeah.
We are bonded. Yeah. That sums it up. I think, the last thing I would say, I mean, we're doing 90 minutes, but Sevan does like 2-hour podcasts, so it's chill. I do like this format, and Nate and I were talking about it, and like, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things here. The first thing is like everyone's gone back and forth about like the $10 judges course and judging. I know Jason and I have gone back and forth about that, and the whole community has gone around and around and around. And it didn't mean a whole lot when it was the Masters. Like there were people chattering about it, and I think I was really vocal about it. And then you see Matt Torres's post, and now you see like Hiller's post or Taylor Self's post, and two things can be true at one time. If you see Taylor Self's post and you see Matt Torres's post, both of those align. I feel like people are going to read those and think they're at odds. They're not. There's a level of things where like, hey man, chill the F out. You got a $10 judges course. There's a level of like, these things should be put on the internet, and the athletes need to be held accountable, and they need to hold themselves accountable to movement standards. There's a level of like, these are real human beings that are putting themselves out there in the world for everyone to judge scrupulously. There's also a level of like, hey man, you're judged every single day. You walk out your front door, so deal with it. There's a lot of things happening in social construct around all of this stuff. And for me, it's like, hey, a $10 judges course shouldn't probably allow this social experiment that we're having. Maybe a little bit higher barrier to entry, like level 1 or more, $10, $40, maybe even just handing it off to the affiliate owners. Change nothing. Don't let these people vote on these workouts. Change nothing, right? As far as like demand of what needs to happen. So just put the workouts out. Let CrossFit do its thing. Everyone needs to chill about movement standards. Like, cool, call them out. It's fine. Whatever.
People are still going to say whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can see the videos.
But I love that the videos are out.
Yeah.
I love this new system. Nate and I were talking about it, and I think like all your little gripes aside, I think the best thing to do for the sport moving forward, and we're going to see what WFP looks like this weekend, but honestly, and I know some people are going to hate this, love this, get rid of it. There's an opportunity to take CrossFit semifinals and allow what like Mayhem did. Allow what we did with 16 athletes, masters athletes in our gym. What we did for our 3 athletes in the gym, we set up the lanes. We had people come out. I basically, to the degree in which I was joking, I was like, I'm going to put you guys in corrals and like walk you out and say your name and put you in your lanes. But we didn't do that because like they were like, no, please don't do that. But we put them in like, hey, you're first place right now. We had a little leaderboard. We shifted them based on like their performances. I tried to give them an in-person semifinal experience within the gym. And I think there are gyms, like our gym, we need a bigger gym, but I think there are gyms that have the capacity to say, hey, regionally, if you are in the Northeast, come to Great Wolf CrossFit. We have, 8 to 10,000 square feet. We're going to run 2 heats of 10 men, 2 heats of 10 women. So 20 and 20. We're going to have judges out here. We're going to run you through. We're going to put a camera at the end lane. CrossFit is going to accept whatever happens, and the ruling on the floor stands for the judges that are there and the affiliate, and give us the power to run an in-person semifinal event, similar to like sectionals that they used to have back in the day if you're that OG, and just run the sport like this and do it all online. And the in-person event is at the CrossFit Games. Because at the end of the day, when the dust settles of all of this stuff and all the gripes and the arguments I've had with other people, and like even Jason and I've gone back and forth, had a really good productive conversations. Sometimes not, I don't know. I think it was probably generally productive. Sometimes I think we got heated because we're very passionate about it. But when the dust settles,
don't take Jay seriously.
Listen, we're both passionate about it. When the dust settled, though, you look at the Masters who made it. You look, and there are a few, obviously, people are going to get through. But you look at the teams, the top 20 teams who made it, and those athletes on those teams, and you look at the individuals. Aside from like, yeah, maybe Brooke Wells someone should say something to hear about her chestnut touching the ground, you know? Other than that, all of those people deserve to be in person at the CrossFit Games. All of those people moved to the best standards they could. All of those people adhered to the constraints of everything that was happening. They all put up their videos. They all did all the things. I personally, for being in this for a really long time, have no problems with the people moving forward. And historically, I really never have. And I think like that's where people get hung up. But if we take this thing and bring it into the affiliates, I think we can grow it a lot faster. And I'm actually going to get on a call with CrossFit about it. And hopefully they hear what I have to say. They did reach out because they want to know from the CrossFit affiliate owners, and you can schedule a call, and I'm going to do that and pitch this idea because I think it's very important for us to do that and grow the way that we can grow in that way. And some people are going to be upset because they want to go compete in person, but I think you need to bring your expectation down a notch of what that means to compete in person. And it might mean being in a really nice affiliate with really nice equipment, running it like a CrossFit Crash or like what you saw at Mayhem, rather than these big arenas and stadiums, and just take a step back, just take like 20 steps forward and do this a little bit better.
Are you guys going to the games?
We are going to the games.
Sweet.
We're also going to Masters games to coach.
I don't know if you know this, but my mom or my family has property about an hour and 15 away from Albany.
Oh, sick.
My mom will be out there. She was thinking about going out for like a day to the games. So if you guys want to go out to rural Massachusetts, you're welcome.
Never
Blueberry
seen.
Farm.
Oh, Marissa would love that. She loves blueberries.
You could pick your own blueberries, make blueberry pie in a 1800s farmhouse.
Dang. That's cool.
We can coordinate that if you want.
I like it. Nobody else.
And my mom, yeah, whoever wants to. My mom thinks highly of you guys, always talks about how impressive you are. So I'm sure she'd love to have you.
Sick. Yeah. I like that. Marissa would be into it. Yep. I think it's a good system though. And I think a lot of the other stuff that's happening is a bunch of noise. It's fun to talk about. I like staying up on it. But I think at the end of the day, like it's just a bunch of noise that doesn't really help anyone, especially after being able to have 16 Masters athletes in here. 6 of my athletes make it to the CrossFit Games as Masters. Have our team do it in the affiliate. Have individuals in the affiliate. So my experience as an affiliate owner, coach of all levels, owning an affiliate, watching this play out, trying to do the best we can for these people. And we had a lot of support. Heather crushed it. Renata crushed it. Andrew Eckerd, Kathy, and other support staff that we had doing this amazing job to give and deliver this experience. And I think that's the future, but people need to put in the effort to do that and spend more time doing that and less time complaining. Even though I do like to complain and we do this show as well, I think it's just a huge value. And like, if you're listening and you've gotten this far and everything else, and you're on that page, I'm asking you to start supporting that a little bit more. Not saying don't be critical, don't have opinions or anything else, but get on board with like the quote unquote right process to allow a greater experience for these athletes.
Yeah.
Because I do know some of these experiences, like Matt Torres's post, is diminishing some of these athletes' experience. And the worst thing would be someone like Jace hanging it up because of criticism from his videos online. You know, I know he's open to that. He put his videos up there. All of our athletes would. No one's hiding anything. But like, do you really want to be criticized online by people you don't know? Come on. Or that in your mind, in my mind too, have a $10 judges course. Like, I know I don't want to hate on that. And Jason and I've been back and forth, and I only bring him up because I know he's watching everything else. And we have been back and forth. It's great conversation. And I'm not hating on people's financial situations, time situation, constraints, and things like that. It's just like the nature of the thing is someone who paid $10 and took a half-hour judges course can now ridicule you on the internet with low barrier of experience and entry. I don't like that. That's not okay with me.
I was listening to a podcast and it was discussing how our brains, essentially as humans, aren't conditioned or prepared to handle input from all over the world, essentially.
Yeah.
And as well as we should not be prepared to send our voice all over the world either.
But yet
And
we
the-
have Instagram.
and yet we have social media, Instagram, YouTube,
Yeah.
etc. And so these stimuli and this like emotional processing of like people on the internet scrutinizing your movement quality of a workout you did in Rochester, New York, and they're like
Yeah, dude.
fucking across the country, you know what I mean? Like completely, they're like at 2 a.m. just like binging on their couch, just with chips, been like, I would have gone unbroken, you suck, vote down.
Oh,
You know, like
yeah.
but
Or it's people who are in a class like this. I always use a class example because like it's people who are in the space who do these things, these activities, they know these movements. And if they want to take the $10 judges course and they're enthused about it to some degree, they can get on and do that thing. And I've seen people in a class who don't actually know the movements. Like they legit think that this is a movement standard that's not actually a standard.
Right.
And they're able to downvote you, and they don't have the education, knowledge, or understanding that no, you have the standard wrong. So like, no, that's not it. Like, and then you watch them do movements themselves and they're like not squatting below parallel, but yet they can say, hey, so-and-so, you got to downvote. Like, I don't like that. That's not good. Anyways, I don't want to beat a dead horse. But Jace does say, I would love to be good enough for people to hate on me.
I'll
Me
hate
too.
on you all
Me
the time,
too,
bud.
dude. Me too. I'm not.
Do you want me to haze you?
No.
I can do it.
We gotta have like random people hate on him.
Just make a bunch of burner Instagram accounts, just tons of hate mail.
Now we can't do that
Just record your send it and put it in Slack every week.
and then people just unnecessarily hate on you.
Got it.
Got
Wait,
it.
this virtual community that we're trying to develop, we're actually gonna cultivate hate through it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Why, dude?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I know. Anyways, that's it. I think we're in a good path though. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is all gonna go away. This is crazy. Like, there's too much negativity, but
Well,
I think I think it can get redirected in a positive way.
bring the gate. The gate.
That's a fat finger. I think it was meant to be hate. Yeah.
Bring the hate.
Hate.
Yeah, like J.R. Howe. We
Yep.
prefer the hate.
Yeah.
I do. That's why I'm gonna be more aggressive on my Instagram too.
Mhm.
Those of you guys who are listening, we're gonna get off in a second, but I'm gonna be more aggressive. Like I like that post how I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make it hard for you to win because that's where I'm at right now in my life.
You know, Vindicate or whatever. They always make a bunch of dumb variety. Some shirts are dumb.
Yeah.
They should make a hat that says "We prefer the hat" and just like miss the E.
Oh, dude. All right. Thanks for listening. I think that covers it. We probably don't ever have to go into this ever again until the CrossFit Games, and we'll talk about all that. But
If
lot of
you
good
have
stuff.
questions, ideas, comments, things we can talk about next week, let us know.
yeah, actually, we should talk about if you there's some good science coming out now for a lot of different stuff.
Nah, science is boring.
Okay.
Who wants to talk about White Lotus?
Actually, we could talk about Watts again next week because I got a great anecdotal. No, we'll end it here. Okay, listen, real quick before we go, and we won't even talk about it. I'll just tell you the scenario, and then next week we'll pick it up. So today, class, raining, pouring down, not going to run 200 meters. We're going to go 600 meters on the bike erg. Get a lot of pushback. I'm like, they're like, it's going to take longer. No, man, we got to go like 3 times the amount. You look at triathlon, they're going to tell you like the bike should be 3 times the run, blah, blah, blah. Because the wattage output that you're doing when you're doing running versus the wattage output when you're doing biking, it takes more wattage output on running than it does on biking. So to accumulate the same fitness demand and outcomes, you have to increase the wattage. So that's why wattage matters. We'll cover that next week. I don't want to hear it. Real life anecdotal experience today in the class.